Good evening and welcome to the channel. In tonight's video, I am going to be canning some fish, some yellowfin tuna, and some whole trout. And if you'd like to see me do that, stay tuned. Now that I have my tuna cleaned, rinsed. Okay, this tuna has been a bloody mess. I've had to keep it from bleeding everywhere. So I'm just going to cut it. Hopefully I'm cutting it correctly. I know you guys can't see I'm right-handed and you all are on the wrong side of me. I do apologize. So let me move my hand over. There we go. I apologize now for any noise that you all are hearing. The girls are up and they are making a lot of noise as usual. And so I'm just cutting through this. Like I said, this has been a bloody mess. It's been bleeding all over the place. Trying to keep from getting fish blood everywhere. Running down the cabinets. Ooh. There we go. So I'm just going to slice this up. And then I'm going to jar it up, and I'll be right back when I am ready to jar. And I do apologize, my hand is in the way again. I soak this in a little bit of salt. That's why it looked the way it does, but it is a beautiful piece of fish. And so I'm just going to put it in my mason jar. This is a 8-ounce wide mouth mason jar. So I'm just going to add it in like that. And in the Ball Blue Book on page 102, it says that you have to add this in hot water. I'm doing the raw pack, so I am going to put hot water. The kettle has already been brewing with water, so I'm going to pack these jars. I hope you guys can see. I'm just going to pack these jars and pour water over the top, and I'll be right back. The canner is on and it is coming up to temperature. I am going to use some vinegar water and wipe off the rim of my jars as soon as I pour the hot water in the jar. I soak the salmon in a salt water solution, and so I'm not going to add any salt to this, but I am putting hot water. My kettle was very hot. I'm giving it 1 inch of headspace. I will double check the instructions in the Ball Blue Book. This is my first time doing this, but I do believe it said 1 inch of headspace. So I am giving it 1 inch of headspace. All right, let's get the rims cleaned off. Right, sorry about that. That's 1 inch of headspace. I'm going to clean off the rims to make sure I didn't get any fish residue on there. There we go. And just clean those off like so. Hope you all can see. These jars are warm. Go, and last one. There we go. So now I'm going to get my lids on. My lids and everything was run through the dishwasher, and of course y'all know I'm being a little extra, so I want the label to be in the front. And I'm going to put my rings on like that. So let me get all of these jarred up and in the canner, and I'll be right back. For those who are watching me for the first time and you've never canned fish before, fish has to be canned for 100 minutes. And there are different variations as to how to do that. And so I'm just going to place the lid on this jar. We're going to get it fingertip tight, just like that. Now we're going to get these in the canner. Now that we have the fish in the canner is full of 3 quarts of water plus some vinegar. I'm gonna put the lid on and we're gonna get this rocking and rolling. Now y'all know this lid is my nemesis. It takes me a minute to get it on. There we are. And close. The stove is on high. I'm gonna let this come up to pressure. And the next time you see this, I'll be pulling these babies out of the canner. Don't forget, 100 minutes. Fish has to cook for 100 minutes.
After 10 minutes of venting, when it starts rocking, the clock starts.
Now it's time to fillet the trout. As you all probably have seen in my previous video, there was an issue with the trout. So I went to the market yesterday and I bought more trout. And so now I am going to fillet this trout. I kept it on ice, so I'm hoping there is not going to be a problem with it. You all probably cannot see, but that's all right. I'm just trying to get it out of the butcher paper without a huge mess everywhere, because fresh fish is messy. It is very messy. All right, so I've got my fish on the butcher paper. I'm going to leave it in the bag. I'm going to open the bag. I'm going to smell it like I did the last time because it was so gross. Smells normal. Smells like fish. I have less this time than I have last time because they didn't have a lot. So I will invest in more trout if I like this, if this is something that I am able to do, which I do believe I will be able to do it. This really grosses me out, y'all. I'm so grossed out right now. Y'all don't know. Woo, come on. Come on. I'm so incredibly grossed out right now. Oh my goodness. All right, so I have to touch it with my hand. Oh my god. I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it. I'm so not going to make it. Okay. There's just things I cannot with some things. Okay, so whoo. All right, I have my fish. I have to wash this hand because I'm right-handed. I'll be right back. I did not like any parts of that at all. So I have my fillet knife. I need to have purchased a smaller one, but I wasn't thinking about that. But I am going to probably go back and buy a smaller fillet knife because this is probably something I'm going to end up doing on a regular basis. So I got my fillet knife. I have my glove because if you've watched any of my previous videos, I don't like touching meat, and this is no different. This just the feel of this on my hand. Oh, I cannot. So I need to put on my glove, my working glove. My hands are clean. As you all heard, I did wash my hands just a moment ago. And so I'm going to take my knife. Now, I did have to go on YouTube University and figure out a few things. Now, because I'm right-handed, the filleter, he's a gentleman that is a professional fish filleter. He says if you're right-handed, the head of your fish should face the right. The fish should be facing you. If you're left-handed, the head of the fish should be facing the left. Excuse the noise in the background. My canner is coming off of pressure. I have a lot of projects going right now, which is why I can't go get a smaller knife from the store because I'm busy. So what he said to do is this. He says, take your fish. Oh. He says, take your fish, take your head, and I know y'all can't see. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna take, this is the napkin that I dried my hands off of. He says, take the head of your fish and break the neck. Oh, please don't let nothing splash on me. I cannot. Oh, okay. So he said, break the neck like that, y'all. Woo. Mercy. I'm gonna have to cover up his head. So yeah. And then what he said to do was, once you break the neck, then you take your knife and you run it along the rib cage. The rib cage is right here. And so he says you stick your knife in there. I need my camera. Hang on one second, y'all. Okay, I needed to move my light so that I can get a really good view of these rib bones. And he says, take your knife and stick it right in there at the rib, and just cut. And you got to be careful because this knife is sharp. Ooh, this knife is sharp like a brand new suit. And you just cut hopefully not cutting away too much of the meat of the fish, but you cut away from the rib cage. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get in between the meat and the ribs and free those bones. And I can see that I'm actually cutting through the skin, so I'm not doing the best job. If I had not said it before, y'all, this is my very first time filleting fish. I've never done this before, so get your laughs out. I know it's for me, it's not easy. A lot of people I don't have a fear of meat. It's something about it. I don't like touching it. But in order for me to have what I like to eat, I need to do this. I need to learn to do this, because when I went to the market to get fresh fish, the already filleted trout was over $10 a pound. And the whole trout was $4 and some change a pound. So this is a better buy if you can buy your fish whole. So I got the whole fish. I talked to the butcher and I said, so tell me, how hard is this? After he stopped laughing, jerk, he told me, just bake it. And I said, no, that's not an option. So here we are, and I am filleting this fish. Now, I'm not doing the best job. I do see some meat here, but I will go back and get that off, trying not to cut myself in the meantime. But I'm just trying to get as much of that meat without the bones off, just like so. And I have to do this for each one of my trout. So now that I've done this side, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to do the opposite side. And I'm just trying to get all the way back to the spine, like so. And again, my first time doing this. Even if I do leave a tiny bit of trout on these bones, this is not going to go to waste. This is going to go in my fish fertilizer bucket. So what he said to do was to flip it over, and I'm trying to figure out how did he flip it over, because I got to keep the head up that way. It's not going to work. So I know he did it this way, but I'm not going to be able to do that. So I'm right-handed. It's not going to work for me doing it that way. So I'm going to do it this way, because I need to be able to get my knife up under this rib cage on this side. And see, now I know why he said do it that way, because it's hard to do it this way if you're right-handed. So I'm going to have to do it the opposite way, and I'll be right back. I have to flip my fish this way, and I have to lean over it and take it away from the rib cage. I'm not going to be able to have the fish turning with the head to the left because I'm right-handed and I won't be able to cut properly. So let me do that and I'll be right back. Now I have the rib cage sitting up like this. Now what he said was to flip your fish back over onto its side, like so. And it looks a mess, y'all. Don't judge me. This is my very first time doing this. And he said stick your knife all the way through the back of your fish, like so, and cut it all the way down. Like, I hope I'm doing this right. Y'all, we learning together. We doing something new today. Let's see. He made it look so easy. But it always does look so much easier when you see someone else who's a professional doing this, and then you try it, you're like, looks so much easier on TV. But then you just cut it away like so, which is what I'm trying to do. I hope you all can see. Like so. I'll cut it away. And then ooh, it's a brand new knife. It's tough. Why is it not working out like that? Shouldn't be so hard to cut. There we go. It looks terrible, y'all. I know it looks terrible. However, it's my first try. That's fillet number 1. I'm not done yet. I still have to take, I missed some fish here, so I'm gonna go back and I am gonna get the pieces of fish that I missed. I don't want to leave my fish. Like I said, even if there is a little bit left, it's not going to go to waste. It's going to go into my fish bucket. And then he said to cut away the spine. Let's cut it away, cut it out. Again, I know this is not pretty. I don't need it to be pretty. I need to be able to eat, y'all. Because my family and I, we really love fish. And so, and then he said to cut away. Oh. See, now I know why the filleted fish was so much more expensive. Because this does take a little time, take some finesse. You have to know what you're doing. And then you just take it and, oh goodness. This knife is not a good cutting knife. I don't know what's going on here. I just got this knife too. Just took it out the package not too long ago. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut it here. All right, and cut it there. All right, so I got the head off. We're gonna put that over there like that. This is the spine piece, and I know I got some fish left on here, so I need to flip it and cut it off of the spinal bones. Okay, so, and then just, this is a mess. Ugh, goodness gracious. And then just cut it just like so. At least I think that's how he said do it. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. There we go. Okay, so this is the second piece. Take that off. I don't know what that is. I don't like it. Now also what he said to do. Now here's the tail, here's the top fin, here are the spinal bones, the rib cage bones. Like I said, there is a little meat in here, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to put this in my fish bucket. And now I need to cut off any additional fins, because you see there's a fin here. So I need to cut that off. I don't need that in my food. And this knife, there we go. I need this knife to cooperate with me. And I want to make sure that there aren't any bones that I've left behind. No bones, no fins. There's a fin here. You see that? I need to cut that as well. Just like that. Okay. No, don't feel any bones. It's just skin. And I feel a rough fin here towards the neck part. So I'm going to cut that piece. I don't like that. Feels like there's a bone here. So I got to cut that out. Take that out. Okay, so it is not the prettiest, but it is indeed trout. So I have to do the same thing to this poor little butchered piece right here. And then I will cut these down and get them in my jar. So let me butcher up this piece and I'll bring you back when it's time to cut these down and put them in my jars. Just like with my salmon and what else? Tuna. I forgot what I canned, y'all. I rinse my fish. I soak it in a saltwater solution just because I feel most comfortable doing that. You clean and rinse and do what you need to do with fish if you're processing fish your way. I feel most comfortable doing it this way. So when I put it in the salt water, it does cook it some. So that's why it looks like that. I began to put it in the jars because my phone rang and I make videos on my phone, so I had to take a call. So I've gotten to the point to where I am now slicing my fish and filling my jars. So let me finish this up and I'll be right back. In the Ball Blue Book, it says on page 102, the far right hand corner is tuna. The upper left hand corner just says fish, all varieties, that you add hot water. And I'm adding water to the trout like I did the tuna. I just turned on my kettle and boiled some water. I'm taking this to a 1-inch headspace. I am going to debubble this. As you see, I have my debubbler in my hand. Just hanging out there. I'm going to try to debubble this. Excuse me. Here we go. And be careful if you're using a kettle. I have a kettle that I've had for many years, and it is extremely hot. And if you touch the side of it, you can burn yourself like I just did. I just accidentally touched the side of it. If you get this water on you, you can burn yourself. That has happened to me. I accidentally spilled water on myself when I was pouring a cup of tea, and I sustained severe burns because of that. So just be careful if you have kettles. I've been seeing a few people out that make content that have been using their kettles. Kettles can get extremely hot. It's boiling water, so just be careful. And so I'm going to top these up to make sure I have the recommended amount of headspace. And then I'm going to take my kettle and put it back on the base because I don't want to accidentally touch it with my hand like I did. Have that out of the way. It is time to clean the tops or the rims of my jars with distilled white vinegar. So I'm just going to put some on there like that. And I'm just going to wipe the rims. This is to make sure that I didn't get any fish residue on there, any water splash up. I didn't get any anything. I don't have dust, debris. I don't have nicks or chips. I'm checking, making sure that everything is up to par before I get my jars into the canner. Sorry about all the noise. The wind is howling outside. One of my dogs is not happy, so lots of noise. So I have my lids over here. I'm going to be using 2 Tattler lids. Now, if you've never used Tattler lids before, you need to make sure that the gasket, which is the orange bit, let me show you. Hang on one second. It's a 2-piece. This is a gasket, and this is the lid. You have to make sure that that gasket sits perfectly on your jar. That gasket also needs to be warmed up prior to putting your jars or putting your lids on your jars. It needs to be warmed up because you could have a jar not seal if it's not warmed up. So there's a lot to the Tattler lids. I'm still practicing with them. I'm not 100% happy with the success rate. There we go, fingertip tight. I just need to get that out of my way so that you guys can see. There we go, fingertip tight. And I'm just going to, let's see. That has to be a little tighter. And just like that. Now I'm going to get these into the canner. But first, I have to take out what's in the canner before I can get these in. So I'll be right back. The canner has 4 quarts of water and about a cup. I'm turning on the stove to high. I am going to get my jars. Now the water inside the canner came out of a very hot faucet. My faucet is extremely hot, and so the water is very warm. The jars are warm. So I'm just going to get them in, bring the canner up to pressure, and see how this trout turns out. So stay tuned and I'll be right back. Time to put the jiggler on. And now we wait for the jiggler to start jiggling. Fish has to cook for 100 minutes. The Ball Blue Book says 1 hour and 40 minutes this will process. So it has 4 pints of water and about a cup because I want to make sure that my canner doesn't run dry. And so now I wait for my jiggler to start jiggling. As soon as it starts jiggling, then I'm going to turn it to the sweet spot on the stove that I know it needs to sit at and rest at, and then it will process, and then I'll be back when it's time to take it out of the canner. I got sidetracked, but I am back. The phone has been ringing off the hook. I hope you can hear me. The Instant Vortex is going and it is dehydrating some bones, but I'm going to be taking the trout out of the canner. It is done. It has cooked its time, and so now it needs to come out of here. It's been sitting in here for a little while, so I had to take an important phone call. But let's see, here is the trout. It looks ugly. I don't like how that looks. But that is the trout, and it's broken down tremendously in the water, it seems. But can you guys see that? But it's done. And so I'm going to get this out of the canner and let it rest on the cabinet until tomorrow. And I am done canning for today. I have some projects that I will start up again tomorrow, but tonight this is it for me. I've been canning for the better part of the day, and so I am done. So I want to thank you for joining me in the kitchen today. I greatly appreciate all who watch my channel, all who leave me comments, all those who have subscribed. I have gotten a few more subscriptions, and I greatly appreciate that. My channel is continuing to grow, and that means the world to me. Thank you to everyone who subscribed, all those who watch, even if you're not subscribed. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. Do me a favor. Give me a thumbs up, share my video, and I hope to see you either in the kitchen or the garden real soon. Until then, bye for now.